The gym was loud until he walked in, just a quiet black janitor, pushing his mop across the mat while everyone else stretched for class. "Hey, mop man!" A white instructor laughed, his black belt swinging as he pointed. "You missed a spot. Or maybe cleaning floors is all you're good at." Everyone laughed. Everyone except Deshaun. He didn't answer, didn't even look up, just kept mopping the sweat he didn't spill. The instructor stepped closer, his voice dripping with mockery. "Come on, don't tell me you're scared of a little sparring. Show the class how you fight." The room froze. Deshaun slowly looked up, his eyes calm, quiet, dangerous. "I just cleaned, sir." "Then clean this mat with your face." The man sneered. Laughter again. Phones out. Deshaun placed the mop aside and stepped barefoot onto the mat. The instructor grinned. He didn't know that the man he was mocking wasn't just a janitor. He was about to learn a lesson that would silence everyone in that gym. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening and the world needs to hear them. Every morning, before the fighters arrived, Deshaun unlocked the doors, swept the floors, and wiped down the mirrors. He'd been doing it for months. Same ragged uniform, same quiet nod to everyone who passed. Most barely noticed him. To them, he was just a janitor who kept their trophies shining. But behind those calm eyes was a man who'd lived a life few could imagine. When the others left at night, he stayed. He'd stand in the middle of the empty gym and stare at the punching bags, his hands twitching like they remembered something he was trying to forget. Sometimes he'd throw a single punch, perfectly balanced, clean, fast. Then he'd stop, sigh, and turn off the lights before anyone saw. He never told them his story, that years ago, he'd trained harder than most of the men who now mocked him, that he'd promised someone, his late father, he'd never step back into a ring unless it was truly worth it. And tonight, that promise was trembling, because humiliation burns hotter than fear, and once you've been disrespected in front of a crowd, silence becomes the heaviest weight in the room. The next evening, the gym was packed. Sweat, noise, and pride filled the air. Ethan, the same white instructor, spotted Deshaun mopping near the mat and smirked. "Hey, janitor," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Think you can handle a real workout today?" A few students laughed. One whispered, "Man, he's not even a member." Deshaun didn't respond. But Ethan wasn't done humiliating him. "Come on," he said, clapping. "You clean the place every day. Let's see if you can survive 1 minute on this mat." Someone started filming. The crowd tightened in a circle. Deshaun's eyes flicked toward the exit, then toward the mop he'd set aside. He could have walked away. He'd done it 100 times before. But tonight, something in his chest cracked open. The memory of his father's voice, calm and firm. "Son, never let disrespect grow roots in your silence." Deshaun nodded slowly. "Fine," he said, stepping onto the mat. 1 minute. The room went silent. Ethan grinned, rolling his shoulders. "This'll be fun." The whistle blew, and for the first few seconds, it looked exactly like the humiliation everyone expected. Until Deshaun moved. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. Ethan charged first. A lazy punch meant to entertain the crowd. But Deshaun wasn't where he expected him to be. In one smooth motion, the janitor sidestepped, pivoted, and redirected the strike with surgical precision. Ethan stumbled. The crowd gasped. Deshaun didn't attack. He simply stood there, calm, balanced, waiting. Ethan blinked, confused. "What was that?" he barked. "You got lucky." He came again, faster this time, jab, cross, roundhouse. Each one cut through the air and missed. Deshaun's footwork was flawless. Sharp turns, quiet breath, perfect timing. The laughter stopped. Phones were up. The gym had gone dead silent. Then, with one quick burst, Deshaun moved. A light tap on Ethan's chest. Just enough force to drop him backward on the mat. He didn't follow up, didn't gloat. He simply stepped back and said quietly, "Respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn." For the first time that night, nobody laughed. Even the students who'd filmed him before lowered their phones. Ethan sat there, staring up, not at a janitor anymore, but at a man who just reminded him what real power looks like. When the crowd finally broke its silence, the whisper started. Who is he? Where did he learn that? But Deshaun didn't answer anyone. He just grabbed his mop, ready to leave. Before he could, the gym owner, an older Asian man named Master Lin, walked out from his office, drawn by the commotion. What happened here? He asked, eyes moving between the stunned instructor and the quiet janitor. Ethan spoke first, breathless. He cheated. I wasn't ready. Master Lin frowned. Cheated? He turned to Deshaun. Show me that stance again. Reluctantly, Deshaun stepped onto the mat. The moment he moved, the master's expression changed. His brows lifted, recognition dawning. That technique, where did you learn it? Deshaun hesitated. My father taught me, sir. Your father's name? Marcus Green. The master's eyes softened. Marcus Green, the man who was banned from this gym 20 years ago after calling out a racist tournament referee. The room went quiet again. Some of the older students remembered that name, the fighter who vanished after standing up for justice. Now his son was standing right here, cleaning their floors. Deshaun lowered his gaze. I never wanted trouble, he said quietly. I just wanted to work where my father once stood. Ethan's face went pale as the whisper spread across the room. He looked at Deshaun, really looked at him, and for the first time, his voice wasn't arrogant. Your father, he's the reason they banned that match? Deshaun nodded once. He stood up for what was right. They called him angry, then erased his name from the wall. Master Lin turned toward the trophy display, one plaque missing a nameplate. Without a word, he opened a glass case and pulled it out. Your father's award. It's time to put the name back where it belongs. He placed it in Deshaun's hands. The crowd watched as Deshaun quietly set it back on the wall, this time engraved. Marcus Green, fighter. Father. Legend. Ethan swallowed hard, eyes glassy. I mocked the wrong man, the wrong legacy. Deshaun looked at him, calm but firm. You mocked yourself. Every time you used power to humiliate, you forgot what real strength was. Ethan bowed his head, the kind of bow that comes from shame and awakening. I want to learn. From you. Deshaun paused, then nodded slowly. Then start by cleaning your own mess. The next morning, the gym was quiet again. Same floor, same mat, same sunlight streaming through the glass. But something was different. Ethan was on his knees, scrubbing the floor beside Deshaun. No cameras, no crowd, just two men, side by side, one learning humility, the other teaching it without a word. Master Lin watched from the doorway, a faint smile on his face. Respect, he said softly, isn't taught through winning, it's earned through change. Deshaun wrung out the mop and looked around the gym that once treated him like invisible air. Now, every student who passed bowed slightly, not because they were told to, but because they felt it. He looked up at his father's name shining on the wall. For the first time in years, he smiled, not in pride, but in peace. Justice hadn't shouted, it had whispered, and everyone had heard. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it.